when I say that, seek to understand and not to be understood, it comes down to communication. It's a big one. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staying Married, brought to you by This Marriage Business Academy. My name is Ademorayo Akpara, and I'm delighted to join you again on this week's edition. So we've been on this journey of building the marriage construction, right? And then we've been sharing 5 A's, as I describe them, of the things that are critical to building a lasting marriage, right? Today we are moving on to the 4th A, and this is a really big one. It's a really big one. It has so many sides to it. I will try as much as possible, to touch on as many pointers, but we still would have a major session on what this 4th A speaks to, because it's really the bane for major issues in marriage. I'm sure you're wondering in your mind, what was Mo talking about today? So yeah, we're talking about agreement. That's the 4A. Agree. And agreeing for me, it's just about communication. I mean, there can't be any agreement if there is no communication. So the first thing is to agree. And what agree sits on is communication. Communicate. Talk. One of the biggest things, or one of the greatest things that you can enjoy and be deliberate about in your marriage is to ensure that you have free flow conversations. Just be able to talk to your spouse and communicate effectively, agreeing on things as it pertains to you. Many times you find that spouses have thoughts and ideas in their mind that they are not communicating with their partners, and they are expecting, an action based on your thought. I mean, how would it flow? You're not speaking to this person the things that, you are burdened about, or you're burdened or bothered about, and this person is not aware. You're not speaking the same language. You're not sharing. It's not a good place to be. Trust me. And, studies have shown that one of the major issues, major areas that really give married couples challenges, and I don't even think it's married couples, one of the biggest human challenge is communication. Because I have expectations in my mind, and I'm not communicating it to this person that we are in this relationship with. It can be a boss to subordinate, it can be co-workers. I mean, it can be anywhere. Your domestic support staff at home, your driver. I mean, everywhere. Communication. So I'm thinking something that I'm not expressing in the right way, and I'm having expectation of this person that they're unable to deliver to, and it's, getting me in a state of anxiety and anger and pent-up emotions, just because we are not communicating, which would lead to agreement. So communication. The book of Amos chapter 3 and verse 3 says, "Can two work together except they be agreed?" Like, seriously. I mean, without asking. So if we are heading in the same direction, we can work together, right? But if our destinations are different, how will you marry? if I have to go to Lekki and somebody wants to go to Ikeja, how can we be in the same vehicle? It can't work. You say, so communication is very critical. I mean, it's one of the things that people need to focus on even before marriage. And when you're then in marriage, already in the institution, and you're together with this person, you must pay close attention to it. And I say that you should seek to understand and not seek to be understood. Because when you understand the other party, you are able to, bring them to understand you. I don't know if that, that makes sense to you. So seek to ensure that you understand what this person is saying, is really saying, and, is making a very first point to. So I'll quickly share a personal example. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, I had this argument with my husband, and he was just going on and on about this thing. And I felt like, come on, what is it that you're going on and on about? It didn't make sense to me. I couldn't see that. I'm like, this thing is not an issue. Why are you making an issue out of it? I mean, it really got me upset. However, he was saying, no, this is, I'm like, God, we got into this argument one day. I'm like, what, this is stressing me. And so at some point, I felt really stressed. I'm like, what, I don't even want to talk about this thing again because it's just so stressful. So I quietened, and he goes, what I'm really saying, right, is that stop making excuses. You've done something wrong. Just apologize without making excuses. I'm like, wait. So all you have been saying since. I mean, and this issue lingered on for about 2 weeks, yeah? I mean, I was just at a place this matter is not any big deal. I felt like I apologized. He said I did it. I apologized again. But what am I saying? So he struck me. I'm like, okay. So this is what you've been trying to say, and that you were not saying clearly. Okay, perhaps. And then, I usually like to cast the mirror back and say, okay, so Yusuf, you were not listening, for what he was actually saying. We may not have dragged it this long. So when I say that, seek to understand and not to be understood, it comes down to communication. It's a big one. And I'll take another reference, from Genesis before I share a couple of things that I believe can help you. Of course, there are no two circumstances that are the same, and there is no one size fits all answer. But there are things that you can put in place. There are principles that you can action, that can help you on your communication journey. I want to show you how important this communication thing is. And one of the biggest scripture that speaks to communication for me and being on the same page, especially in context of marriage, it's in Genesis, and it's the story of the Tower of Babel. If you're a Bible scholar, you know this story. And at the time in the world, there was just one language. So imagine that the over whatever billion number of human beings on the planet are speaking the same language. So there is no Hausa, Yoruba, Hindu, German, French, all the language. It was just one. And everybody had come together to say, let's make a name for ourselves. Let's do this thing. Great idea. They're speaking one language. They were communicating. They were in communion. They understood themselves. Let me go to verse 5 of that chapter. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. Now, if you read from verse 1, he said that, okay, let me just read from verse 1 so it would really help and give you context. You also can check. So this is Genesis chapter 11. I'm reading from verse 1. It says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So this was their plan. Let's do this thing. They were just talking about it and thinking, let's do this thing together. And see the next verse says, And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the children of men had builded. It was done, completed. How? In their mind, in their union, in their collectiveness, in their one voice and one vision. This passage speaks to a lot of things in, teamwork and, collaboration and vision. But I really want to pick the language. And God said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Did you see that? Extremely powerful. Now, this tower was still in their mind. It wasn't down. The brick and mortar hadn't been put together. It wasn't erected. But guess what? God saw that it was done. And what was the critical factor? They had one language. So imagine that you speak one language and you've got one voice with your spouse. Just imagine for a second the kind of things that you can achieve. That's the power of communication. So there is no separation. There is no, this is me. No, they were together. There was no hierarchy, no, I'm bigger. No, we didn't see it. It's so profound. So it wasn't a case of, who is earning the biggest or who has connect, who has nothing. They had one voice, one language that they were speaking. So communication is critical. That you focus on ensuring. I do hope that this has been a blessing to you, because he has blessed me also. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope to read from you. Please share your questions, share your thoughts, and share your feedback continuously with us. You can write to me at mo@thismarriagebusiness.com.ng. And for further inquiries on bookings for counseling sessions, you can write to talk to us at thismarriagebusiness.com.ng. Also, do well to follow us on our social media handles at This Marriage Business on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to bring this to you today. I do hope you join the next episode. Bye for now.